Hey, you all. It's Monday. And what is the date? Is it the 27th? Yeah, of April. I'll turn the radio off. I'm listening to NPR's On Point. Magna Chakrabarti gets on my nerves. She's good, but at the same time, she's smarmy and she's paid. And I can tell by the way she asks certain questions that this is disingenuous, and I wish she could really do a good job instead of being a slave to your paymaster. Folks, thanks for the response on the last video. It really does make a difference to know that some of you all are with me. Devin, it really means a lot to me to know that you're watching. My great nephew. I see some other names that I recognize. It's nice. Now, this is not to discount you folks who regularly watch and comment. I appreciate all of you, but it's not the same as when you don't actually know the people. I'm going to call up a recent video so I can say some names. Some of you folks comment a lot, like Phil, Bell, of course, Ron, my lung puppy. Garrett is often in there. Mark G. Connors, Rebecca Curry now, Words Are in Music. Those are some names I recognize. Kowalczyk, PJ P. Jr., Dave Sanderson, Renee, Oscar, Mark FNA, PHP. I recognize and appreciate you folks, but I've never met you. And it makes a difference. It does. So knowing that, my flesh and blood are with me here is comforting. It is. I don't feel so alone, actually. Depending on my cycle of my depression, which I deal with all the time, and you don't know it, it comes out here, I'll feel like I'm up against the world and I want to whip everybody's ass, So thank you for being with me and telling me. I'll show a couple things, but I want to tell you something, okay? Because I really do recognize human behavior pretty well. I won't say your name. I know you're watching. I really wasn't that surprised to receive a personal message yesterday where the person was asking if they could have counseling and they would pay for it, and they want to call me. I thought about it for a second, and I said no. No. And here's why, okay? First off, I do deal with this pretty regularly. It wasn't but a week ago on Facebook where someone who wanted to be my friend wanted to contact me personally. And I said, no, I'm setting a boundary, I can imagine you like me, but I don't want to hear your life story, okay? Here's another thing. I know a lot of people. I have a lot of people who call me a friend, but I hang out with a small number of people. Some of those people are younger musicians. I love them very much, almost like family. But with a couple of them, and if you ask them, they would admit it, there is a large component of me being Papa Dereck and counseling them. It's a natural part of my personality. And I don't mind in real, but this is what I have to say to the person. If you mean to tell me you can't find a decent person or someone, you don't have services where you live, that you can't find someone to talk to, even on a professional level where you live, you have to ask to call across the country to me? That says something about your system. Surely there's someone you can talk to. But here's the other thing that I know from experience. It's rarely not this. A lot of times when people want to talk, what they want to do is they want to ruminate and go over and over and over something. They may want input, but really what they want. This happens all the time. So I'm speaking from experience. A lot of time, what happens is people will want something, and they can't get it, or something is not just the way they want it, and they can't, and they're stuck. So what I'm good at is problem solving. I don't care about what you're stuck about. I don't want to hear. See, that's why you have to pay therapists. And this is why I was good as a mental health specialist, because I got to a point where my clients would not go to the therapist without me, because they were getting cheated by therapists the therapists were spending the client's time talking about themselves and getting away with it because the client didn't realize his rights. So when my friends come to me and it ends up being that there's some kind of issue, I problem solve. I don't want to hear all this bullshit over and over again, and that's usually what it is. They just want to go over and over because they want to find a way to get what they want as opposed to dealing with what needs to happen. I will bet you money that what I'm saying applies to the person that called me. I don't need to hear and don't want to hear the story. I don't. If there's something you can do to fix it, we'll fix it. Now, I'm like this because I'm like this with myself. Besides this, someone was mentioning you have some other health problems. No, nothing major, but I'm eating, and there's other things. If I was rich and had a doctor, he'd make a lot of money on me. But what I'm saying is, I am aware of my own faults and flaws and parts of my personality, which is like, well, that part of me isn't so cool. I'll just keep that in check. We can all do that, and there's parts of life where it's like we just need to just buckle down and be stronger. I hope that helps this person, because if you lived in town, let me put it like this, if someone lived in town here and contacted me about the idea, man, I'd really like counseling sessions with you and I'd be willing to pay for it, I would consider it in person. And here's the other thing. They were wanting to do it on the phone. I hate talking on the phone. I do not like these devices. They're tools, but I don't like talking on the phone. So even with my student who I do the face messaging with through Messenger, that's kind of fun because we're working on something, but I don't like talking on the phone. Okay, got my message? So I will show a couple records. I'm hoping to get another order in today. I ordered, that's kind of fun, receiving records. Hope everyone's hanging in with this COVID thing, because it's dragging on. It's going to drag on. Things are not the way they were when it started this year. We will not end this year the way it started. People hoping that things go back to normal by the end of this year, forget it. Deal with it. I have to deal with it. You deal with it. We're not going back to the normal that we started with in the beginning of this year. Mark my words. Residents, Doug Stab, I listened to all of side 2 to this. Some of this now is annoying, and then there are other parts where when I first heard it, it was like, whoa, this is so weird. Now, it doesn't sound weird. It's like, oh, boy, they were really ahead of the times making music that reflects just how strange culture and people actually are. Duck Stab. John McRae I see that you're watching now. You've given me records over the year. Here's one I can remember that you gave me, because when you sent it to me at the time, it didn't ring a bell. Pussy Invasion. This is not the band that put out the album Pussy Plays. I have that. 2 different bands. Okay. This is the band that came out of the band Jerusalem. I showed them recently, young band that was managed by and produced by Ian Gillan of Deep Purple. Ian Gillan produces this album as well. It tells the story in here of how Jerusalem broke up, and then two of the guys wanted to stay together but changed the name, and this became. But the record never came out, or a single came out, but apparently the album never did. Not right away. Loved the Dereck label. Love that color. Thank you, John. I played this yesterday like 2 or 3 times, some songs. I really like this. I was in the mood for it yesterday. I Keep Remembering You, Feline Woman, Take Me Home. I really like those songs. I love the drumming on this. Trashy. And I'm going to be really kind of crude. I can tell that the young man who plays his drums knows women. He's got sex in that beat. It's got a trashy, sexy beat, not a groove. Sexy beat. There's a difference. It's a woman beat. I mean that complimentary. It's like this young man is experienced. Fusioon. I know the story, but forget it. I believe it's a Spanish band. Classically oriented. They actually use the toccata and fugue in part on here. This is really good. Green vinyl reissue. Played this all the way through. One of the producers of my show, Higgs Corner, messaged me. We're all still buzzing, frankly. Me and the production crew are all still buzzing on the last Higgs crew. We really feel good about that show. But he messaged me just buzzing about stuff and sent me a link to a song off of that, wondering if I knew about it. And I'm not a know-it-all. There's a lot I don't know, but there is a lot I do know. And sure enough, I had it. And once again, his mind was blown. This is fun. That's the thing about some of the people who leave comments and recommendations. Some of them, they feel like they are loving recommendations. Others, it's like they have something to prove, or it's like, well, what about this? What about this? And that don't interest me. Okay. And then also the other thing is, merely because you suggest something doesn't mean I have to listen to it. I have my own methodology. I do what I want the way I want to, and enjoy it. Broselmaschine, German folk band from back in the 70s. This is a reissue. This is lovely and wonderful. It's not psychedelic. It's just heady. You can just hear where they just kind of get lost in the music. I don't pay attention to the words. Don't know what they're saying about. I love this album, though. Broselmaschine. Love it. Okay, another one that I got in my last order I will share. I've known about the band Riverside for a while. They were brought to my attention because I like Porcupine Tree. And people would say, well, if you like Porcupine Tree and if you like Opeth, you ought to try Riverside. Well, I did. 10, 15 years ago, I got turned on to them. Voices in My Head is one that I bought. And since then, I hadn't been seeing any of their records in the shops, vinyl-wise. I'm here in Omaha. Omaha is lame when it comes to selection. I understand why, because they got to be able to sell the records, and then people don't know about the music. I'm in Omaha. People don't know shit about music in Omaha. People don't know shit about music in Omaha. That's the goddamn truth. So there's nothing for y'all to get mad about. But I went ahead and ordered this album, which came out after that, Voices in My Head. Rapid Eye Movement, their 2007 album. Progressive metal. I like it, but I can't listen to a whole lot of it. This one ends up going into Pink Floyd territory. They even quote Pink Floyd. That's okay. I don't need that. Some people love it. One of the original members of this band died a while back. Just some stuff I'm recalling. I do really like this, though. It's very sumptuous and thick and beautifully produced, and I love the sound of the band. I do. Here's something that was sent to me by this artist, Black Swan. The person who is Black Swan sent these to me. He sent me several of his records. It's drone and it's dark. So I tried to listen to this the other night, The Quiet Divide. Now this is really well done. It's drone, beautiful red vinyl, but this is bleak shit. This is dark. Okay? It's really well done, but it's dark. So it's no wonder I don't play the Black Swan records ever much, because it's like it's a place that you have to go to be with this music, and it's like it's dark. Another one that someone sent to me that I didn't like at first, and I still think it's okay, but I got all the way through it. Radian. On, dark, silent, off. This is on clear vinyl. It's like a tortoise. It's like a tortoise instrumental kind of sound, a Chicago kind of sound. However, this gets a little staticky and old, and it's like, okay, will anything else materialize here? And on a couple of tracks on here, it does move places, but about half of this it was like I found myself picking the needle up and moving it. It's like, okay, that's all that's going to do. No offense if you guys see this is good. I'll bet you have better records. Radian. Levitation, the band that Terry Bickers from House of Love started when he quit the band House of Love. Very interesting. It sounds nothing like a House of Love, so I can see why he did this. It's like, oh, you had this was in you while you were playing House of Love. You needed to get it out. Very frenetic and psychedelic and charged up. The cover fits the music. The music is very packed with energy. This is very good. Need for Not, Levitation. One more. This is the double pack of the two Brain Ticket's first albums, Cottonwood Hill and Brain Ticket. Psychedelic masterpieces? Not quite, but are these psychedelic records that if you think you want to know about psychedelia and the history of it, should you hear these records? Yeah. This is a trip. It gets to a point where it can be frightening. I have listened to this on LSD and got to the point where I had to take it off. It's like, okay, this is too much. It's an ordeal. It's something to experience. One more thing before I go. I had either a real person or a troll or a bot on my last video attempt to gaslight me about Trump. And it doesn't work because the gaslighting is immature and childish. They always try to come across like, you never say this and you never say that. I don't have to explain, only the blind or hypnotized or whatever is wrong with their soul refuse to see the damaged individual that we're dealing with as the president. It's not, I don't have to explain anything. You need to open your eyes up. And this game of trying to put it back on, oh, well, he never lied. He never did. You fucking idiot. Fuck that shit. I'm smarter than that. That's bullshit. So, how do we end this one? We're in for the long haul, people. Do your best. As they say in Japan, ganbatte. Ganbatte. Do your best. And I am listening to the news, and the world is not responding. We need to move away from worrying about economies and get back to health. I'm saying it on Facebook. Some people understand, others don't. There's a lot of international debt that could just be wiped out, that would just completely change the picture that we're dealing with, involving the virus as well as a lot of other things. A lot of debt just doesn't need, it could go away. It would really help. But these greedy monsters, and they'll say, oh, we couldn't possibly do that. That's so complicated. Yes, you could. You can figure out how to kill people for money. We can figure out how to get rid of the debt, to save people. This shows you what our leaders are really about, people. They don't fool me. They're monsters. Y'all be well. Keep talking to me.